Someone said one sentence to you today. Maybe it was a remark in a meeting, a tone in a text, a look that lasted half a second too long. And hours later, while you are brushing your teeth, while you are trying to fall asleep, you are still in that moment rewriting it, sharpening the reply you wish you had given. Here is the strange part. The person who said it has almost certainly forgotten. They moved on before lunch. They are sleeping right now. And you are still awake, holding a knife that only cuts the hand that grips it. So ask yourself the uncomfortable question. If they forgot in 5 minutes and you have carried it for 5 hours, who is actually hurting you? Nearly 2,000 years ago, the most powerful man in the world had this exact problem. He commanded the Roman legions. He could have any person who insulted him erased from existence. And every night, in a war tent on a freezing frontier, he sat down and wrote private notes to himself, trying to talk himself out of the same resentment you are feeling tonight. His name was Marcus Aurelius, and the notebook he left behind was never meant for your eyes. By the time it reaches the end of this video, you will know the precise place where another person's words turn into your suffering and how to close the gate they have been walking through. Start with the notebook itself, because almost everyone misunderstands what it is. We call it the Meditations. Marcus never gave it that name. In his own Greek, the title was Tais Hoton, 3 words that mean simply to himself. This was not a book. It was not written for students or for Rome or for us. It was a private journal, scribbled in the dark by a man trying to manage his own mind. And once you read it that way, something becomes obvious that changes everything. He repeats himself constantly. The same reminders, the same lessons, again and again, year after year. Do not be disturbed by other people. Do not be disturbed by other people. Do not be disturbed by other people. You do not repeat a lesson you have mastered. You repeat the one you keep failing. The calmest man in history was privately, endlessly losing the same fight you are losing and writing himself back into the ring each morning. Which means his composure was never a gift he was born with. It was a practice. He left us by accident his training log. And the very first thing it teaches is where the wound actually comes from. Picture the insult again. A person makes a sound, air moves. It reaches your ear, and in that instant, something happens so fast you never see it. Your mind stamps a verdict onto the sound. This is an attack. This means they don't respect me. This means I am small. Marcus had a word for that verdict. Hypolepsis, the judgment the mind adds in the half-second after an event. And his most radical claim is this: the event and the verdict are not the same thing. The sound did not hurt you. The verdict did. It is not things that disturb us, he wrote, borrowing from his teacher Epictetus, but our judgments about things. Then he goes further, into the line that should stop you cold. Take away the opinion that you have been harmed, and the harm itself is taken away. Remove the verdict, and there is no wound, because there never was one in the event. There was only a person, and some moving air, and a story you stamped on top of it faster than you could think. This is the gap almost no one knows is there. Between what happened and what it meant to you, there is a space. It is tiny. It is half a second wide. But everything lives in that space, and it belongs to you. To explain what that space protects, Marcus used an image that the philosopher Pierre Hadot later named the inner citadel. Imagine your mind as a fortress on a high rock. The walls are total. Nothing outside, no insult, no betrayal, no loss can climb them. The Stoics called the thing inside those walls the hegemonicon, the ruling part of you, the seat of judgment. And Marcus's discovery was almost unbearable in its simplicity. Things cannot touch the soul, he wrote. Our disturbances come only from within. Sit with what that means. No one has ever actually been inside your head. The colleague, the ex, the stranger in traffic, none of them ever breached the wall. The citadel has never been stormed in the entire history of your life. Every time you felt invaded, the truth is quieter and harder. You opened the gate. You walked the intruder in yourself, gave them a room, and called it being wronged. So the real question is not how to build higher walls. The walls are already infinite. The question is why you keep unlocking the gate. And Marcus, being a practical man, did not just diagnose this. He built defenses. The first one happens before you are even out of bed. The entire second book of his journal opens with a strange morning routine. When you wake, he tells himself, say this. Today I will meet people who are meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and selfish. It sounds bleak. It is actually a weapon. The Stoics called it premeditatio malorum, the premeditation of adversity. By rehearsing the rudeness before it arrives, Marcus drained it of its power to ambush him, because most of what makes an insult sting is not the insult, it is the surprise, the sense that this should not be happening to me. But you cannot be ambushed by something you already put on the calendar. When the arrogant man finally appears, he is no longer a betrayal. He is just the weather, arriving on schedule. You packed an umbrella at dawn, and when the wound does land, when someone genuinely wrongs you, Marcus refuses the move that every nerve in your body is screaming for: revenge. He writes one of the most quietly devastating lines in the whole book. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Look at what the urge for revenge actually does. They were cold, so you go colder. They were cruel, so you sharpen your own cruelty to match. And in the act of getting even, you slowly become a second copy of the exact person you despise. They didn't just hurt you, they reshaped you in their image. Marcus saw that the only revenge that doesn't cost you yourself is to remain undeformed, to refuse to let their ugliness become your blueprint. You win, not by striking back, but by staying unmistakably yourself. There is an even deeper release waiting underneath that. Marcus asks where the cruelty came from in the first place, and his answer dissolves the personal sting almost completely. The person who wronged you, he reasons, was acting from ignorance, from a confusion about what is actually good and what is actually harmful. They could no more help it than a man with bad breath can smell his own. Men exist for one another, he wrote. Teach them or bear with them. To be furious at them, he says, is like being angry at a fig tree for producing figs. It is doing what its nature does. This is not soft forgiveness. It is something colder and more freeing. The realization that the offense was never about you. It was their nature leaking, and it would have leaked onto whoever happened to be standing in that spot. You were not targeted, you were just nearby. Now we can return to the thing that keeps you awake, the replaying. Because here is what is really happening when you run the scene for the 40th time. Marcus names it exactly. You have the power, he writes, to strip away many superfluous things that are obstacles to you, things that exist entirely in your judgment. Watch the insult honestly, and you will see that the original event was tiny. A person made some sounds once and walked away. Everything else, the imagined motives, the meaning you assigned, the future arguments you are pre-fighting, the comeback you are still polishing at 2 a.m, none of that happened. You are building it brick by brick right now. The event lasted 3 seconds. The story is on its 4th hour, and you are the only author still typing. The replay is not memory, it is creation. And the moment you see that you are the one adding the commentary, you also see that you are the one who can stop, when even that is not enough. Marcus reaches for his most cinematic tool. He calls it, in effect, the view from above. He flies up in his mind, leaves his body in the tent, and looks down on all of human life from an enormous height. The armies look like ants. The markets, the courtrooms, the weddings and the funerals all shrink into one swarming, restless blur. And from up there, the remark that has been eating you for hours is revealed for what it is. One atom on one life, on one small rock turning in the dark. Soon you will have forgotten the world, he reminds himself, and soon the world will have forgotten you. Scale does what no amount of just calm down ever could. Now, you might hear all of this and picture a cold man, emotionless. A statue who simply stopped feeling. That is the great misunderstanding of Stoicism, and Marcus is its best disproof. This was not a man who felt nothing. He buried several of his own children. He was sick for most of his adult life, in chronic pain. He governed through a plague that killed millions and through 15 years of grinding war. The journal is not the diary of a man who escaped suffering. It is the diary of a man drowning in it, teaching himself to swim one page at a time. The goal was never to feel nothing. The hurt is allowed in the room. The grief, the anger, the sting, they are permitted to arrive. They simply are not permitted to drive. Feeling is human. Letting the feeling stamp an unexamined verdict and then act on it, that is where the suffering is manufactured. Marcus did not delete his emotions. He stopped obeying them. So we come back to where we began and to the real reason behind everything you have been carrying. The person who said that sentence to you today took nothing from you. They have no power here. They never did. The walls of your citadel have stood untouched your whole life. But every time you replay the scene, you walk back to the gate and you open it and you invite them in again. You re-grant them a tenancy in the one place that was always completely yours. That is the secret Marcus was writing toward in the dark. Not that the world is gentle, it is not. but that the one room that matters has only ever had one key, and you have been the one holding it the entire time. The man who insulted you is asleep. He is not thinking of you. Tonight, when the scene starts to play again, you do not have to press start. You can simply notice the verdict forming that half-second stamp and let it go unstamped. And in the silence where the replay used to be, you may finally hear how quiet your own mind was always meant to be. The gate was never broken. It was only ever waiting for you to close it.